Hello, and welcome to another edition of Spindle TV Exclusive for all the Spindle TV members. Joining me tonight is John. John, you and I are going solo on this one. Looks like all the other guys are kind of not here right now, but that's great. And I love the fact that you work on cars. John and I were talking in the background, getting ready to come on, and he was telling me some of the projects he's working on. And I think that's so cool that you do that. That you're involved with custom car work and stuff like that. That's pretty awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are going to there's Ronnie. Tonight we are going to work on a projects. We're going to look at different designs of different projects that are fairly simple to make, absolutely trendy, great sellers if you sell your woodworking projects to make money and income and stuff like that. And there's so many design possibilities or flexibility in the designs and everything that it really gives you the opportunity to come up with all kinds of cool creative ideas for these different trays and everything that we're going to be working with. It's kind of like party trays and cheese trays and things like that, serving trays and stuff. But there's ability to put your own little spin on it and everything. So before we get into it and everything, Ronnie, thanks for joining us. How you doing? I told John, I said, it looks like we're going solo tonight. How's things going, buddy?
Doing real good. Thanks for asking, Laney.
Outstanding.
How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Things are going very good. I got just a real quick note for everybody. Because I do a lot of training, right? And everything. I don't do a lot of custom carving anymore. And but opportunities and stuff still kind of come my way where people ask, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? And I got a cool opportunity that came up. It's the order is for 500 to 1,000 pieces, and it could be more beyond that, depending on the price and all. But little turkey call pots, but they want them made out of Corian countertops. So I'm going to be carving and working with Corian and things, and that's going to be neat for me. I've worked with Corian like signs and things like that, but not these actual like things that actually have a purpose. So that came across my door today, and I'm still trying to source the Corian and see, come up with a price, because the actual finished product, like user end finished product, for this customer that sells it to the user, they're not expensive. They range anywhere from $30 to $95, right? There's not a whole lot of margin there. If he's selling them at $30, there's not a lot of margin. So I got to see if it's even feasible. But that was a pretty cool opportunity for me. And I don't, I usually don't take on things, but this was such a big quantity. I like big things because I can just focus on them. And if it's something that continues, then I've got a helper and all, and we can just kind of get into a production mode on it, right? And all, so it's pretty cool that fell in my lap today, and all. Another bit of news before we get started and everything, and I had this reserved for digital woodcarver customers only, people that own digital woodcarver CNC machines, because I don't know everything about every CNC machine out there, but I do know a lot about Vectric, right? So I'm going on a training tour on the road. And from the 26th of April through the 10th of May, I'll be on the road in Georgia, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Indiana. And I'm offering in-home training sessions, minimum of 4 hours, maximum of 7 hours. And if any of you are in that kind of realm, I'll throw it up on the screen when I get full screen. I'll throw up my route. And but in those general areas, there's still spots on the calendar. I've got some trainings already booked and everything, but there's still some spots on the calendar I'd like to fill up. If you're looking for some one-on-one in your house kind of training, I have no problem extending that offer to the members. But yeah, those surrounding areas and stuff. And then pretty soon, there might be a Mississippi, St. Louis kind of thing. So there's a couple of people out there that want it and all, but I'm not going that far out. So I'm only Georgia, Mississippi, Tennessee, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee again, and then back through Georgia and Florida. So that kind of route. So if anyone is in that range and on, no, Kool-Aid, I'm not coming to Chicago anytime soon, unfortunately. But Chicago, New Jersey, those kind of places, not yet. I've had a lot of people asking. But Laney.Shaughnessy@spindletv.com. If you're in the areas and you're like, hey, I'd be interested in getting the calendar. It's $300 for 4 hours, and then $50 for every hour after that, up to 7 hours. So if you're in those states and everything. So it's kind of normally in-home trainings, there's fuel costs both ways, hotel, food, and everything. None of that applies. It's just the actual visit. So it's discounted if anybody's interested. Okay, so that was my little spiel for today. Let me get that banner off the screen. So Ron, Johnny, or John, Ronnie, let me get that backwards. I'll be back. We're going to go full screen here and we're going to kind of get started. So let me see if I can pop some things up on the screen here. All right. So first of all, let me since I had just mentioned it and everything, let me switch over to camera number 2. Let me minimize my head down to the bottom here.
Hey, Laney, not to interrupt, but I see a message from JR that he doesn't have the link for the studio.
It's in the community channel. So let me show you where that is. Hold on a second. Give me just a second here. Give me just a second. YouTube. I believe I put the right date. I might not have. Hold on a second. Give me just a second.
Yeah, the date was 17th on it, so.
It's right at the top of the community page. I might have accidentally put the wrong date, but let me pull this on the screen here. So on the community page, 4/17. Today is the 17th, right?
Yeah,
second item from the top, JR. There's the link right there, 4/17 for the gold members. JR, if you're watching, it's on the community page, second link down for gold members. Second option on the first option was the actual class. Second option, that is the right date, yeah, is the backdoor invite. Yeah. On the community page, on the channel community. All right. In the chat, JR, if you, let me know if you can't get it. And then I don't know how I would get it to you, but I could email it or something. But this is my route right here. It's going to be round trip. One way, it's going to be 1,900 miles. Round trip around 2,600 miles. I'll be on the road for the that 26th through 10th period. Doing in-house trainings. I do that kind of once a year. I'll travel out and about. And yeah, there's going to be opportunity for further out, west or this and that, but not right now. Hey, JR, welcome, buddy. There's going to be opportunity for that, but not right now. But I will be, on the roads if anyone's interested. Okay, now let's talk. Let's talk trays for a second here. Okay. So on Pinterest, there's a lot of like cool samples of serving trays. I mean, we see them all the time and we're always looking at them and always admiring them and things like that. There's all kinds of cool ideas and stuff like that. And the ones that that we'll want to work on that intrigue me a lot are the serving trays that have places for utensils. So hold on a second. Let me pull it up. In the comment section, copy. Let me go to the comment section. Okay, that's that one. I got 3 screens open now. I got to find the right screen. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. There's the right screen. In the comment section, paste this link. There is a link in the comment section for a set of cheese knives from Amazon. These are the ones I use, and I have them right here on the screen. These nice little utensils, very well made. I don't know if YouTube will block me for showing knives on the computer screen, but the set comes with a 4-piece set, and they are just $7. And for cheese trays and serving trays, ordering these kind of in bulk, I order these in bulk. They are well made. They stand up pretty darn good and everything. So I have no problem mentioning them as a recommendation. It's hard to see on my screen because of the background and all, but and I'm hollow and everything, but they are well made. Nice little wooden handles and everything like that, but inexpensive, because these are just, folks can adapt and they can get, let me get myself back down again. They can, get, their own little utensils down the road, what they want. But as an initial, start, it's pretty cool. And I'll just show this on the screen because this will kind of be the first one that we're kind of looking at and everything. But you see this here, these utensils, this is going to be kind of the first one we're working on a design like this. But you see those utensils there, they're laser engraved on those handles, right? So if you have a laser attachment to your CNC or a laser engraver, period, they're nice, clean areas where you can custom monogram, right? Add a little custom touch to it and all that stuff. And there's a nice tray that we're going to be designing tonight. It's going to be kind of a 2-layer tray. There's going to be some magnets involved, but the top part of the tray is going to be the cheese tray or whatever, where they kind of, work off of. But underneath, there's going to be kind of another tray that has the utensils, and then it slides out from underneath, but it also snaps back together. We'll design that. It's hard to explain with my hands, right? But you'll see as we get into that. So what you're seeing on the screen is like a little cheese and wine combination tray, very basic and all. We're going to get into something just a little bit more involved in everything, but I needed something for quick and easy for the little thumbnail, right? So these are kind of the cheese trays that I do for the holidays, holiday party trays, and they typically have a carving in them, which says things like season greetings and stuff like that, right? Carved in them and all, and they could be food safe, epoxy filled, or what have you, or they could just be carved. But these are not the trays that we're working on tonight, but I can make these files available to the members. Absolutely. And speaking of files available to the members, to interrupt while I have that thought in my mind, Matt, a new member, has recommended or, he did a very good detailed kind of layout on file sharing for members only using Dropbox, and where the files that I'm working on in real time, they can be saved and synced in Dropbox to where you members could have access to them and be working on them live. I don't have that set up this week or anything like that, but it is something I'm going to set up. The only problem is on my end, and it's not a big problem. I just got to work it out. But there's a fee for the Dropbox for that type of ability to do that and everything. And I'd have to be able to offset that fee in some way. Unfortunately, having, not unfortunately, but fortunately, I have 45 members, you all and everything. And your fees, your silver and gold membership fees, help me tremendously with, expenses and stuff like that. But it only goes so far. And so Matt had given me a layout. He gave me a beautiful email with the details and everything. But gave me a layout where, it could be a free service, or it could be a, pay $5 for access to the file type of thing, or whatever it might be. I don't know if it would be that high, but where it would be kind of like a paywall thing. Because I told him, I would love to be able to do that, but it would have to affect the membership a little bit. And I don't really want to affect the membership prices. I like the $9.99 and the $19.99 and everything like that. But I'd love to have your input in the, because you're all members, right? You're all here. I'd love to have everybody's input in the chat section if that would be something that you would be interested in. Now, if I can figure out a way to offset the cost, because it's not cheap, but if I could find a way to offset the cost in some way where it doesn't affect you guys, and I can offer this service to you for free or something, that I'll try. But right now, I honestly, I might look well put together, but I'm poor. So every bit of money that comes in, it goes out to my mother expenses, her medical expenses, groceries, food, business, just everything, right? It's robbing Peter to pay Paul, paycheck to paycheck, just like every red-blooded human being in the world, right? We all have our struggles and we all have this and that. So that's why I thank you guys profusely every week and appreciate everything that you do, because you honestly, you will never grasp how much your little part that you play, that money that you pay every month, you have no idea the impact it has on my life and my family's life. It is a major impact, right? So I appreciate you all. Believe me, you have no idea. Without you, it would be hard pressed to kind of keep things going and stuff like that. But enough of that. No sad tales in this show. All right, let's close this and let's come up with a new project file. Now, I kind of want to start out the gate with the flat tray first. And everything, because we have the ability, we can change it up a bit, different layouts and everything. After that, the next part is going to be a two-sided project, because we're going to have to flip one of the pieces over, the bottom drawer piece, to create a little lip, nice little bow kind of shaped little lip, so that it slides in. You'll see, right? But it's going to be a two-sided project. But this one's a one-sided project. It's going to be a single-sided job for this setup. And the the trays can come in different sizes, right? Whatever you think is good for you. And let me see if I can. Let me see. I'm terrible at conversions here, but bear with me just a second. 36 centimeters, 2 inches. Okay. And then bear with me. 30. Okay. I typed in the search common party tray cheese board sizes, right? And of course it came back in, and yeah, sushi and sashi trays. I have a video on making a sushi tray in the on Spindle TV. But of course the answer that came back to me was in centimeters, and I'm have to do the math real quick. So a common size typically, and of course you can go bigger, right? This is just kind of, a common size would be at 16 inches long. Let me type that in. And then 14 inches wide, 3/4 inches thick. I'm going to reference off the material surface for this, and I like to start at the bottom corner. Now, I'm kind of not digging the rectangle. I personally love working with the golden ratio, right? I love the size of everything. So I'm going to take this 16 and I'm going to multiply this by 1.618 equals. And I should have done that backwards. Let's go 16. Give me just a second. Divided by 1.618 equals. There we go. And I love the golden ratio, right? It's very pleasing to my eye and also many others' eyes because it's used all throughout architecture, throughout history and everything. Okay, so we're going to click OK here. And I'm actually going to go back in there real quick. Let me round that off to 0.875. So 9 7/8. Beautiful. All right, let's get, I heard someone pop in. Did someone pop in? No. Okay. So, and for those of you that, are curious and you're just not, familiar with it, the golden ratio, it's abbreviated, but it's 1.61803. That's it, 1.61803. There's more, but that's really all you need to. But 1.618 is fine. That'll get you where you need to go. And it is, if you are, in my case, you can take one dimension or the other. And I knew my length, I wanted it to be 16. So now I had to figure out my width. Now, the first time around, I multiplied by the 1.618, and that, of course, that gave me too much. I needed smaller, so I just divide, and that'll give me my optimal measurement. Now, another little trick to finding out the golden ratio, might as well get into a little math thing here. If I came in here and I created a rectangle that was 16 inches by 16 inches, because that was my 16 by, I'll go 16 here. Create. And we can also go 9 by 9 or what have you. I'll just go the 16 by 16. I hit create. Did I hit create? Create. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work for right now. If I'm in here, right, and I take a line and I draw a line from the center of this 16 by 16 to this corner, space bar to finish, and then I rotate this line. So I'll go into the rotate tool And I'm going to double click on the center part here. Let me turn on my mouse so everybody can see where my mouse is. So I can, it's more like me, so I can see where my mouse is. Minimize that. So on the center here of this line, if I click, I'll get the pivot point, right? If I can close that, there we go. And on that, I say I'll get the pivot point, but it's disagreeing with me right now. Why, oh, why do I? There we go. And I'm going to drag that down to the bottom here. So I'm pivoting off that center point. And if I drag this down straight across, where that line ends here, I can extend that rectangle out to the end of that line. And that would give me the golden ratio of my project, right? So and we'll move this up here so everybody can see the whole thing. And we can also do that with, if we know the width height, like if I would have said I want to be around 9 or 10, then I can find out my length by doing the same thing. So from the center to the corner, and then rotate that straight down, and then stretch that rectangle out to that shape, or that square out to that shape. And that gives you your ratio. Now 1.618 ratio. Okay. Fun stuff. Math. Who loves it? All right. Let's go ahead and get started with this. So for this tray, what I would like to have is, let me get back to my, give me just a second, main screen here. And where we put these can be anywhere you want. I want to have 2 areas, and I would like the, I'm left-handed, so I like the left side and the right side. So I'm going to have 2 areas. We're going to go, I like to fork. Hold on a second. What the hell do I cut with? Hold on a second. That's my dominant hand. All right. On the left, for me, it could be on the right for you. We'll just mirror it, right? I'd like my utensils to be on the left, but I'm left-handed, right? So if I design for myself, then I'm designing for me, but I'm not designing for myself. I'm designing for the populace. So more common than not, people are right-handed. So we're going to put the utensils on the right side. I'm thinking logically now, because I'm trying to make a file that we can sell, right? Not something for our personal kitchen. So on the right-hand side will be the utensils. On the left-hand side, we will have our serving area, and at the top or the bottom, we can have places for cheese, sauces, not cheese. Cheese is on the main tray. Crackers, sauces, nuts, fruits, whatever your little delights are. I don't want to have to reach over. Like if I have my serving tray, I don't have a wooden tray here in front of me, but let's say my keyboard is my tray, and I've got everything right at the bottom of the tray here where I'm kind of doing my little cutting for the cheese or assembling of the crackers and cheese and hams and meats and whatever. I want to do that here, and I don't want to have to reach over fruits, nuts, and all that stuff at the bottom. So at the top is going to be the ideal location, or off to the side again and just have everything in the middle, right? So you're either doing it on the side or the top. We're going to go at the top. And so we're going to create the trays, and we'll put the fillets in. I'm going to round off those corners because the router bit's going to do it anyway. And we'll put those fillets in this particular size here. Let's get to a decent size. I'm going to go 4 3/4. And then I like the height. So we'll just unlink the XY for a minute and make this 2 1/4. 2.25. And that, ladies and gentlemen, if I grab my tape measure here, Just to give you an idea, 2 3/4 is about the width of a cell phone, right? So on that height, 2 1/4 is just a ½ inch less than that, and that's a good little size for a size tray, right? If you think about the side of your cell phone. And the 4 3/4, most of your saltine crackers, club crackers, and everything like that will fit within that 4 3/4 to 5 inch area very well. Ronnie, no V12 tonight. I am working in VCarve Pro, and I only have V12 version and Aspire. And I would just like to be able to work in VCarve Pro to show people that this stuff can be done in Pro, right? So I'm still rocking 11.554. I do not have the download for V12 in my Pro. I only have it for my Aspire. So let's go ahead and we'll click apply on that, close that tool, and I'd like to have 2 of them. So I want these to be a certain distance from my edge and from my top. So I'm going to drag this corner here, and I'm going to use the move tool. And on the move tool, I want to create a relative move. I want to come over a ½ inch, and I want to come down a ½ inch. And I want to click apply. And of course, down a ½ inch means negative, right? Negative 0.5, Laney. And over 0.5. And that's going to be my first tray. And then I'm going to hold down the control key, grab it right in the corner here, and literally drag a copy and snap it right to the corner of this part. And then I'm just going to move over, and I'd like to just move over a ½ inch. Okay. And so that's going to be the placement of my 2 trays. We could do another one across the top too, whatever you want, but I'd like to have my utensils down the side, and that would be cool. Now I am going to create a fillet in this, and we are going to use a tray and bowl bit, a bowl and tray bit, to create a nice little rounded kind of pocket. It could be straight and all, but I'd like to have that little rounded bottom profile and everything with a bowl and tray bit. So for this, my bowl and tray bit has a 7/16 inch diameter. And so I'm going to take that 0.4375, and I'm going to divide that by 2. That's going to be my radius here. And I'm just going to put that radius, that fillet, on those 4 corners. Now, for those of you new to Vectric and everything, if you don't know particular decimals for fractions and everything, you can type in the fraction as a fraction with that / and everything, 7/16, and then the equal sign on the keyboard. And it'll do the fraction to decimal conversion with you. All of these boxes throughout the software where we can type in a value, a number, they're calculation edit boxes. We can add, subtract, multiply, divide, fraction to decimal conversion, metric to imperial conversion, imperial to metric conversion, pi conversions, so on and so forth. Okay, so now we have our tray here. The next area here is I'd like to have kind of a, you would call it on a cutting board, a juice groove. I'd like to have a juice groove, kind of an outline of kind of the working area. So number 1, it would capture if there's any juices in the fruits or anything like that, that I'm meats or whatever that I'm working with. It's not going to roll into my nice party, outfit. I was almost said party dress. It's not going to roll over off to my, nice shirt or something like that, or some young lady's party dress or whatever. So we're going to have something to trap the juices, but also something to kind of just lay out that area. And I want to line it up. So if I hover the mouse over this vector up here, I'll get the geometry and the smart snapping guidelines. And then I can come in here and lay this out. Let's see. Let's get to that snap point. All right, now let's go a little bit wider now. Okay. Now, I am going to leave it a little bit of space down here. It's not going to be a 1/2 inch, up here. But if I wanted to kind of keep things symmetrical, I could snap this here at the bottom, use the move tool and move it up that 0.5, right? So things can look, whatever, symmetrical and all that stuff. But also we got to think about what bit we're using for the juice groove. And this line here is going to represent the center line, right? So if I'm using a core box router bit, kind of that half circle, if I'm using a 3/8 or I'll use a 3/8 core box router bit, the groove itself, if I'm here just at a 1/2 inch, the groove itself is going to be wider because that line there is going to represent the center line, going around and everything. So if anything, I would, if I need the outer edge of the groove to be a 1/2 inch, then I would, draw out the size of my router bit, and then I would come in and, bring my juice groove line in. Heck, I could even do the same thing, over here. This is a 1/2 inch. Here as well, that's a 1/2 inch from there. If I wanted to, I could bring this into the edge and then bring this in to the center of that bit. So now the outside of my groove, when it's all milled and everything, it will be lined up, here, because this pocket's going to be cut on the inside of the line, right? And then I could do the same thing, grab it on the right side, snap it to that right side edge over here, and then that gives me a point to move this groove in, right? And we might as well keep things consistent. Let's rock and roll with it. Let's go up here. And then come down to there kind of thing. But that's more than a 1/2 inch right there. So let me do this. We're going to come up here, snap it to the outside edge, and then move it down negative 0.5. And then that'll give me my reference point to snap to. All right. So now when that juice groove gets milled out, my groove itself will be in line with the outside of those trays at the top. Okay. Cool beans. All right. Very simple stuff here, ladies and gentlemen. This is nothing too, nothing too complicated. Now, in the center here, if you have a laser engraver, laser engraving, any kind of customizations is great, right? Monograms, names, logos, and things like that. If you don't, the next design, the change, we're going to make some changes to this. We're going to carve V-carve raised design up here or anywhere. We'll lay it out and everything, but we're going to create a raised design that's going to be carved in for logos or names or families or whatever the case may be. It could be, heck, it could be whatever you want, right? So the next design will have that iteration. If you did any V carving in here, where they're going to be, assembling their little crackers and cheese and fruits and all that stuff, two things that are wrong with that. Number one, it's going to be kind of a deep carve. Food and juices get down into the bottom of that V groove. Very hard to get, out of it, and bacteria and all that stuff. So a food safe epoxy, if you're going to go that route, and they do make food safe epoxy. And I can't say this without researching it a little bit more, but in some epoxies, when cured long enough, become food safe. Same thing with like finishes and stuff, but there is actual food safe epoxy, food and body safe epoxy, that you can get, and you can add, different colors and things like that to it. But filling it, if you don't have a laser engraver for that nice little light burn, filling it with some type of epoxy so that it's not a cavity that food and juices and stuff can get trapped into. Hey, man, customize the heck out of it. But what we're going to do is, for those that don't have that, we are going to create a customization area on this in the next iteration of this design, where you can, really do some cool stuff with. Now, the utensil area on the right side. I have 4 utensils. There is a kind of a slicer spatula looking thing, right? A little fork, a smaller little spatula thing, and then the knife. Now, on a tray this small, these are going to be our 3 custom pieces. I don't know if you can see me down here in the corner, but the knife, the fork, and the smaller spatula. This one kind of gets left out. This one's for big trays and stuff and everything. And I find we're not using that one too much. Okay. Now, these bad boys have a common length. I believe they're all the same size, except for the knife. The knife is a little shorter, but 5 inches. For the fork and the spatula, we are right at 5 inches, tip to tip. So we need to give ourselves a little bit more room than that. And
excuse me, Lane, you're freezing up now and then, and you're all blurry. You are blurry. You and the screen behind you.
All right, give me just a second. Let me make sure that I'm not my Speedify is on. My internet is good. Give me just a moment, ladies and gents. Okay, give me just one moment. See if we can get my signal a little bit. Okay. I should start to clear up here in a minute. Let me see if
yeah, that's a lot better.
Okay. So sorry about that. I'll keep an eye on that. For some reason, my Speedify, there we go. It's starting to put out the packets now. Okay, I'll keep an eye on that. And what we will do is, give me just a moment here. I will close. That down. Okay, I think
You're blurry again. When you
right.
close down.
It'll pick back up here in just a second. I can see my little internet symbol. I was streaming from 2 locations, so it was I was streaming from one computer and the other at the same time. So it was taken away. Okay. Oh, let's see here. All right, I will try to monitor that. I'll try to make sure that see if it picks up, or if it oh, that's cool. Keith Kessler, Garrett just announced that I'll be with him next week. That's good. the what I was saying was we're going to be using the small knife, or the small, I'll call it a spatula, fork, and then the knife. Okay. And the fork and the little spatula are 5 inches in length. And the knife is 4 and 5/8. So when it comes to, and I'll keep an eye out, try to keep an eye out on the stream, but Keith says, I like it better when you're blurry. No, nobody likes it better when I'm blurry. All right. So unless that's an ugly joke. All right, let's see here. We're going to come in and on this, we are going to try to create the general shape of the utensils, but first I'm going to draw them, because I'm not good at drawing at an angle or this or that. I'm going to draw them kind of upright. And the length of the two main ones have a length of 5 inches. So I'm going to go 5 1/4. So we'll go 5.25. And then they have a width. They're all, except for, again, the knife is a little bit wider, but the fork and the spatula have the same general shape. And at the widest, it's the handle that's going to be the widest part of all the two utensils. We're at 1 3/16 inches. So for a comfortable fit, I'm going to go 1 3/8, 1 5/16. So we'll go, we will go 1.3125. Okay. Now, for the fork and the handle, again, kind of, you want a little bit of customization. I don't want to just have a square pocket and everything in here. So on the fork itself, the handle's wide, it comes in a little bit, and then the head is, starts to widen out here. So I'd like to have that shape kind of, somewhat follow. And so on the handle, to where I need to kind of come in, we are talking 2 inches. And then from there, if I go 2 inches, another 1/4 inch up, 1/4 inch to 3/8 inch up, then I'm going to widen out again. And then there's a slight taper coming in. So I'm going to use guidelines to help me out with this, and I'm going to do one at a time. So I'll bring a guideline down, and from the bottom, I'll snap to the bottom here, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to make a relative guide up 2 inches. So it'll be a positive number. And then from there, I'm going to create another relative guide. We'll go 0.25 inches up. Let's go. Let me see if I can get a 0.3 out of that. Give me just a second here, ladies and gentlemen. So if I go 2 inches. Yeah, I can go another 1/2 inch up. So let's go 3/8. So 0.375. Oh, make sure we click on the right one. 0.375. Okay, we'll get rid of this one. And then from here, it'll be the same width, but there might be a small taper if you want to kind of give it that little bit of a shape. The both the fork and the little spatula, they're wide at the bottom of the blade, and they taper in just slightly. So if you want to just bring them in ever so slightly, we can. So if I come in here and take a guideline on the center of this shape, I could create a relative guide. If I go 1.3125, which is 1 5/8, or 5/16, sorry, divided by 2, that gives me 0.65 on each side. So we'll just go a 1/4 inch in. So we'll go relative guide 0.25. All right, that's too much for me. Let's go 0.1875. 1875. There we go. And then on this side, negative 0.1875. And it doesn't have to be that dramatic. It could be, you know, whatever you want. But these are going to be our guidelines for our layout. And so here on the base and everything, I'm going to keep the base this wide. So I'm just going to put a fillet in. And for the fillet, I'm just going to go 1/4 inch here and here. Here, I'm going to, where this is versus where this is, I'm going to kind of make a little notch. So we will take and go into, I'll just do it like this. Draw that one there. Draw that there. And with these scissors, I'm going to just trim here and here. Okay. And then at the top, node editing, getting a little bit of everything today. Just going to drag this over to here and drag that over to there. Now, we're going to smooth out some of these harsh corners and everything. We're going to use our fillet tool, and I'm just going to keep that kind of fillet going on, and we're going to go 0.1875. It's not going to, oh, too many decimal points. That's why. 0.1875. Let's minimize that a little bit. Let's go 1/8 inch. Should be able to kind of do that, that, and that. Kind of soften things up. And then up here, we'll go here and here. So that will create the little pocket for both of those utensils. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to just double check myself and everything. And on this span, the straight line, not the curves, but the straight line here, if I go into the measure tool and I measure a span, I can click on this line right here and see that it's the length of that is 0.698. So, you know, just over 5/8. And on my both my fork, the width is 1/2 inch on the fork, but it is 3/4. The spatula is 1 inch at the bottom and 3/4 at the top. So I need to make the top for the spatula just a little bit wider, but that for the fork, that will work just fine. So that will be my fork. We'll take and select this, hold down the control key. We'll drag a copy of that over here. I'm going to turn my guidelines back on, and I'm just going to, I need at least 3/4 because the top of that spatula is 3/4. So I only have a little bit I need to move. So on my guidelines here, I will put a guideline instead of 3/16. I'll just go an 1/8 inch. 125. Negative 0.125. I have no idea where. Hold on a minute. Stand by 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. That guideline went the wrong direction, so let me close that bad boy, or delete that. I was looking at that guideline going, wait a minute, where in the world did that come from? All right, one more time. Relative guide, positive 0.125. Beautiful, that's much better. Now I can take in node editing, I can take my node and just pull it out to this guideline, pull it out to this guideline. And what I want, again, I'll measure that span here. And it's 1.116, but remember, I'm putting a radius on it. So, and I should have, hold on a second. Let me make my copy again. I deleted my copy. That stays. Put that fillet on that copy again. All right. On my original here, one more time, node editing. Pull that bad boy out to this 1/8 inch. Pull that out to this 1/8 inch mark. And then I got that 1/16 there, but when I put the fillet on it, what I need to make sure that even in here, as long as I am, 3/4 of an inch, I'm good. So I'll use the measure tool this time, the dimension tool. And I'm just going to measure from this point to this point. And good. No problems. All right. And the same thing here. I've got plenty of room, because I was measuring the span in between the fillets. And if I did that again on this one as well, too, if I measured the span in between the fillets, I'm at 0.8194. 3/4 is really all I need. So I'm good. So this one's going to be the flat spatula one. So I am going to, the angle 45 is a bit much. Well, maybe not. So that's the fork one. That's the spatula. I don't know, 45 is not too shabby. Not too bad. We're going to have to give ourselves some room. There's got to be some finger holes. Got to be able to get these things out of these little pockets. We're always sitting there trying to fight getting. So we got to make sure we leave some room and some space in between. Now, the knife, let me undo my little rotate here for a minute on one of them. The knife is shorter, but it's also fatter at the bottom. So on the bottom, I am 1 inch, and at the top, it kind of tapers to an 1/8. Overall length, 4.5 inches, and that same 2 inches up, I can keep that. The handles are all pretty much the same size, so I can keep that little notch and everything. I'm going to drag a copy off. I'm working at why draw what you can copy kind of situation. But for the knife, we'll get it on the board here so everybody can see it. Let me move these parts out of the way for just a minute. For the knife, I need at least 1 inch at the bottom here. I'd like to have a little bit more, of course. I'm 1 1/4, so that's good. And then at the top, it kind of tapers and has that rounded shape. And I'd like to kind of follow that shape. And so on the knife, on that back side, you know, it's almost kind of like a straight line, but here it kind of widens out. And so this is going to be the bottom part of my blade. I'd like this. Let's go into node editing. I'm going to turn off the fillet first. I'm going to get rid of this fillet on the back side here and on the front. And in node editing, I want this to be a little bit of an arc. I want to, I'm going to kind of come to the center point here. Not the center point. Let me back up just a little bit. I want to kind of be somewhat in line with this node. So if I want to be in line with this node right here, I need to select this node first, hold down the shift key and select this node last up here at the top. X axis is left to right. If I hit the letter X, it'll pull that into alignment. And I'll do this node. Good. Now on this one, I got to be fatter out here. So I want to turn this into an arc. And I want to kind of bring this in. Now I want to create a rounded tip here. So this is going to go to an arc outward. And I don't want it jogged like that, right? So I just want a nice little transition there. I like that, but it looks like it's kind of cockeyed to the back. So I'm going to take this whole thing up here at the top and use the left arrow key and just kind of shift it. There.
Couldn't you split it in half and then mirror it?
I could, but if we look at the knife on the back side of the handle, this is more straight. And on the front side is where it bulges out to that point, right? So we're looking at it. It's going to come like this, and it's going to be rotated. I wish I could hold it up to the screen. But so this back side is kind of, you know, more straight, and then it kind of tapers in. And then the outside is kind of, the bottom side is kind of bulged and it tapers in. And I don't want it coming to the point. I want a nice round. I want to have plenty of room for it. But that's why I'm doing that versus, but yes, you could go to the center and then, you know, offset it out both ways. But I'm kind of trying to take on the general shape of the knife. And it's more like if I were to insert a point down here. Sorry, not down there. Insert a point here. This area is more kind of bulged out. Make this a Bezier curve and delete that point. This area is more bulged out here on this side, you know, kind of like that. Let me clean this up. And overall, again, that overall out here is 1 inch. Once I have the general shape, I could, in node editing, take all of take it to here, and I could just bump that in just a little bit. And let me get rid of that number. That number's throwing me off. That looks ugly as all be it right there. So let's put that back. And then let's get rid of this little kick out right here. Node editing. Delete the point. I'll be okay with that. This shape, ladies and gentlemen, would probably be one of the shapes that I would actually take and create a tool path on this, on a scrap piece of wood. And I would test it. You know, I would cut it by itself, create a tool path just for it by itself, and test it to make sure it has the, you know, the right fit and everything. But I'm happy with that. That'll give me, I wish I could hold that right up and to the screen and show you, but it'll be okay. All right, let's rotate this. I'm going to hit number 9 on the keyboard, and let's get that into position. Remember now, this is a center line for a groove, right? So your groove is going to be out a little further. Now I want these utensils to be all lined up correctly. So I'm going to draw a line straight down. I'm going to center that line on my material up and down. And let me get up to my 1/2 inch mark here. Bear with me just a second. I'm going to grab that line and snap it to there. Grab the bottom of the line. I'm dragging even though I'm dragging the line down, I'm snapping my mouse over to here so the line is the same length across. Okay, that's good. I'm going to select these 3 objects. Hold down the shift key, select this line last. I'm going to align to the center, left to right. And then I'm going to space them vertically equal distance. Okay. Now I can't be off the board like this, but that gets me somewhat of an ideal spacing. And I can I'll move this one down. This one should be centered already up and down. Let me find out here. Align up and down. Oh, no, it wasn't. So if I want that there, stand by, ladies and gents. Center. Center. I'll move them in just a minute. Let me get these over. Trying to find that. I got to have some finger holes. I got to have room to get these finger holes in. Oops, God dog it, I ain't doing that. Mm, 9 inches might be a little too small for these 3. Nine and 7/8. Give me just a second here. No, that's a good size. All right, so a 45-degree rotation is not going to cut it. I've got to have some room. Almost there. This is where the fiddly part comes in. And then I'm going to look at the angle that I did on these and see how much the handles are all consistent here. So if I go into my measure tool and I measure from here, let me try to create a parallel line here. That looks about right. All right, so let's go 60 degrees. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. Go into the rotate tool. Absolute rotation, I'm at 58.9904. I'm going to change that to 60 degrees. To the center of the part, of course. This one, 60 degrees. This one, 60 degrees. Okay. Now, I'm going to select all 3 of these one more time. Select this line, and I'm just going to align left to right to get them centered on that line. And then the whole thing, ignoring the line's not really important here, but I'm going to back this off just so I'm not too close to my juice groove right here. Okay. So a 45-degree rotation wasn't cutting it. So 60 degrees, that works out well. And then I need finger grooves. And so right at where the handle, it's wide here, right where it narrows here on this 2 inches, that's the 2 inches, that's the square part down here. I want to create some reliefs right here so it can be grabbed, you know. And so whatever size, you know, finger hole you think would be acceptable, 3/4, 1 inch, you know, whatever the case may be. Do that. So this is a 1 inch diameter hole here. And I'm going to draw a line kind of right up the center of each of the parts. On here, I think I'll back. I think I'll back up right to the end of, let me go into node editing mode. This point right here, I'll take that circle and snap it right to that point right there. Just hold down the shift key, select the line, and then mirror and flip about the line. Okay. Now, is my line. Okay. I want that centered, so I'm going to just snap it over here. That flip about the line did not work on that. For some reason, is my line, it's probably because my shape isn't all square. That's right. That's where my 2 finger holes are going to be on this one. Now, these bases are all the same size. So I can come in here, hold down the control key. I'm going to grab it right where I snapped it to that point right there. Hold down the control key, bring this in and snap it. And of course I was holding the shift key. Let's try that again. Hold that control key, not the shift key. And I'm going to snap it right to that point. And then again, snap it right to that point. Okay. All right. Now, if I look at this, did I not have it grabbed correctly? Hold on. Let me see here. All right. I missed my point. Let me get back to it. Hold down the shift key. I don't need the control key this time. But what I do need is I need to grab the circle. All right. It's going to fight with me because it just is. All right. Let me put everything back. Give me 1 second. All right. So when I'm moving this, I want to be on this line, but I also, when I'm on this line here, I also want to come back and drag this up to that point as well. So I kind of want to be on that line. I need to do the same thing here. Because I have 2 objects selected, my points were not grabbing correctly. So I want to be on the line, and then also up here, I want to be on that point. There we go. So that one I was off a little bit on the other one. Okay. Once that's done, I can get rid of those lines. They serve their purpose. Those are going to be the pocket cuts. And since this is all, it all can be the same depth on the pocket and everything. You could weld those shapes together, or leave them separate as individual pockets. All right, let's go ahead and let's create the tool pass, and then we need to move on to the second layout. So for this tool path, we have our pocket cuts. These are going to use the bolt and tray bit. And the depth of cut, I'm only going to carve probably about 0.3, a little under 3/8 of an inch deep. I don't want to go halfway through. They don't need to be very deep, but I need to use the bowl and tray bit. So let me come down to my, or up to my bowl and tray bits. And the bowl and tray bit can be used just like an end mill. Now, I tell you, it's kind of, for me, it's kind of a specialty tool, right? So I don't like to beat up my specialty tools too much. So if this pocket was any bigger than what it was, what they are, I would use a combination of an end mill to do a main part of the pocket body. And then the bowl and tray bit would do the edges, would be a profile cut, cutting the inside edge, blending in with that pocket to minimize the run or the wear on my bowl and tray bits and stuff. But this is a small pocket, so it can do it all. And we'll go ahead and calculate that. Preview that visible toolpath. JR says, time to introduce the Shaper Trace Frame. Shaper Trace Frame. JR will have to explain that to me when I bring them up on screen later. All right. So that will be our two main pockets here. And I'd actually like a little bit more depth out of those. A little bit more. So let's go back into that, and I'm actually going to go a 1/2 inch. There we go. I like that better. I want to be able to hold more stuff. Okay. The juice groove is going to be a core box router bit. It's going to be a profile cut, cutting on the line. We're going to cut a depth of 3/16. And I'm going to be using a 3/8 inch core box bit. Lowe's or Home Depot has them for sale, but also online too. That'll be the juice groove. And then for the utensils, the pockets, these 3 pockets, they're all the same, pretty much the same thickness and everything. Now, here's the kicker. The handle is thicker than the blades, right? If I make my pocket all one depth and this utensil sitting in there, it's kind of rocking. It's kind of teetering, and everything. I'd like to have a little bit of support under the blades. And the blades for every one of these utensils are at, that halfway point on the handle, right? So my pocket for the blade side versus my pocket for the handle side are going to be slightly different in depth. And I could, knowing that, I could create kind of, if I was inspired, if I wanted to, I could create a tapered type of cut and everything. In this case, I'm just going to create a separate vector for the bottom area. I'm going to have one vector that's going to do my entire pocket, but then I'm going to have a vector for the bottom area that's going to carve just slightly deeper. So all I'm going to do is, since all 3 of these handles are all the same, I'll just for a moment take one of them, hold down the control key, drag it over here so I can utilize it for a second. And kind of right here, I'm just going to create a line because that little notch area is right in here, right? So right at the top of the notch area is where the blade starts. So at the top of kind of that notch area here where my blade starts, I'm going to just draw a line. Let me find my end point to my arc here. Straight across there. And then, of course, I'm going to be using a 1/4 inch end mill. So my 1/4 inch end mill isn't going to be able to get into that sharp little bit there. So we'll fillet that. And that's going to kind of be my pocket area. So now I can take that vector, grab it right on the center of the bottom, hold down the control key and snap it to the center of the bottom here. Hold down the control key, snap it to the center of the bottom here. Let me get snapped in there. Hold down the control key and get it snapped into the center of the bottom there. Now, this one is slightly off. The angle of the dangle is slightly off. So I'm going to freehand rotate that. For some reason, I had it at 60, but it's slightly off. And I'll just snap that in place. Actually, the rotate looked like it was fine. It was just not centered right. Let me snap it in place. There we go. The rotation was correct. Ignore what I just said. I just didn't have it snapped in the right spot. So that's going to be the vector for my pocket, for my deeper pocket. Okay. All right. Now the thumb handles are going to be deeper than all of them. You know, I don't want to go on my pocket. I don't want to go too much deep in this. I don't want these things buried down in the cutting board or the cheese board or the cheese tray, whatever you want to call it. I just want them just down a little bit, right? So they're not easily going to fall out or pop out or anything like that. So I might just cut them down just an 1/8 inch wider. And these handles are exactly 7. I almost said 7/16. They are exactly 11/16 thick. So 3/4. And I don't know how to. I do know how to read a tape measure, but I'm going blind here for a second. So they're 7/16. So I'll go, instead of 3/4, I'll go 13/16 on those, on this pocket, the handle pocket. And then here, heck, that blade, I just need to be from the bottom up to the kind of a little bit above. I'm going to go the same kind of 1/8 of an inch above the top of the blade. So if I were to look at that, we are 5/16. So the main pocket here, which will be the whole thing, I'll just do the whole thing. It'll be easier for me instead of trying to create separate vectors for the top, separate vectors for the bottom. I'm just going to grab this whole thing, all 3 of these. I'm going to create a pocket cut that is 5/16 of an inch deep, 0.3125. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch end mill. I want these pockets to have kind of straight edges. That's why I'm using an end mill instead of the bowl and tray bit. So we're going to go with a 1/4 inch end mill. And we're going to calculate that toolpath. Okay, so that's going to create that main cut. The Okay. Now we're going to have the almost there. 3 pockets here. 1, 2, 3. We're going to go 13/16 of an inch deep with those. $8125 or $8175. Let me see. My mind is going blank for a minute. 8125. Yep. Okay. Same 1/4 inch in mill. Hold on a second.
Forgot to put a start
My
depth
board,
on.
well, no, my board's only 3/4. My board is only 3/4 of an inch. Am I reading my tape measure correctly? Let me see here. That's funny. Hold on a second. We'll undo that last. Give me just a minute. Nope, I'm right. So my board cannot be a 3/4 inch cutting board on this. So bear with me just a moment. Let me hit undo last.
Would you make the pocket half the depth of the handle? Because you said the handle was 11/16 and you cut it 3/4.
Oh yeah, half. Thank you so much, John. That's where I need you guys because yes. No. Don't confuse me now. The whole handle has to be below the surface, right? So the pocket from the top of the board, there's going to be 1/8 of an inch of material above the top, right? When this sits down in it. So it's that 1/8 of an inch plus this 11/16, the whole depth of the pocket. It wouldn't be half. It would be the whole thing.
Why are you burying the whole knife?
Board.
Why bury the whole knife? I mean, as long as you got a recess for it to set in.
Right. So let me give you an example here.
If it's only recessed half the handle depth and then you put your little finger holes in, you can still grab it.
Right. Give me just 1 second. Will you? Let's see here. Give me just a moment. That's a map. Yep, it is. Okay. Move over. Zoom in. If you can see here what I'm going for, John, is the knife is sitting down below the surface. The pocket depth for the handle, I want the top of the cutting board to be 1/8 of an inch above the handle.
Then you're going to need to go with a 1 inch thick board.
Yep, that's what I just said. Yes, sir. So that's what we're doing. So we're going to go over and we're going to go to on the thickness. I'm actually 1 inch will be fine. 1 1/4, 1 inch. And yeah, if you wanted to just have a place for it to sit and you wanted to stick with 3/4, then you would do what John is saying. You would make the pocket just half the deep. So half the knife is sitting in the pocket, not the full knife. Or half the handle, sorry, where it's kind of sticking up. It's just sitting down in a pocket, but I want these kind of resting down inside. So, when I'm moving around, they're not going to pop out very easily. If I only have half the knife in, then, if even a little bit of a tilt, they could slide out of their little pocket. If I got them kind of fully recessed, there's a better chance that I can move around, walk around this party and all this stuff and everything without, losing my shit. All right, so let's go back and preview. Let me turn the preview visibility down a little bit. Oh, it's already down. All right, preview. What's that, Ronnie?
I said you have to cut back on the alcohol if you're moving around with this board. You're going to be dropping more than knives out. You're going to lose all your food.
Right. No, but I mean, just the if we were to look at just as kind of what's common, right? So let's come over here to this Pinterest page and kind of look at all of these examples and everything. For the most part, all of the utensils and everything, they're fully recessed in. And that's the, kind of look and feel that we're working with here. So that's what I'm kind of, working with, is kind of what's most commonly seen out there and everything. Let me take this back over here. All right, so now the last toolpath for this project, other than any kind of customization that you would do to it or anything, the last toolpath for this project will be the finger holes. On the finger holes, I am going to just use a box core router bit, so they have kind of a bit of a rounded bottom versus a flat, so they kind of round in. And in the case of this, I will probably come down to the same depth, but I'm not going to use a 1/4 inch end mill. I'm going to use a 1/2 inch core box bit. And that should give me the desired look that I want.
Laney, wouldn't your blade section be half as deep as your handle so that the utensil lays flat?
Well, on these, from here, the bottom of this part right here,
Right.
to the bottom of the blade right there, the distance, the measurement there is just about 5/16. To the top of the blade, it's 5/16. So when that sits in, my front pocket is there, that step down is 5/16. Here is a 5/16 inch deep, and then my step down is that measurement, the rest of it. And all.
Okay.
So this should sit right flat there.
Right.
And then the bottom of my pocket, that should sit in there. And I still have my 1/8 inch above the blade there. Now I don't like my box core bit. It's too deep. So let me hit undo last on that, and I'm going to deduct. I'm going to take off. Oop, not that one. I just want to kind of transition into this over here. So I'll go 0.5. I need it to kind of tip off right there. A little bit of a step there. Can fine tune that. I don't like the way the core box bit is leaving these grooves in the bottom. So I am not going to be too concerned with using the box core bit. I'm going to just, I don't like the way that it's leaving those grooves. So let's go. I'm just going to stick with the 1/4 inch end mill on that. Okay. All right. So we're going to hit save on this, and this will be version 1. Let's go here. All right. So we're going to take this here and we'll pull that all off to the side. Version 2, we're going to allow a little bit of customization in one of the sides or one of the corners and all. No utensils. Just a cheese tray with some little pockets, customization, and then a juice groove. So for the most part, the juice groove, I'll borrow that juice groove. I'm going to hold down the control key and bring that over. And again, the placement of this, remember, I'm using a 0.3125 diameter bit to cut that. And this is the center line. And so if I want this groove to be centered on this juice groove and still have a 1/2 inch clearance from the edge, then my bit needs to be kind of, moved over. So I'll move over negative 0.5. And so from the edge of my groove out to the edge of my material, that's a 1/2 inch, right? And same thing here. If I wanted to snap that there, if I wanted to bring this down and then move that up 0.5, then I could be assured that, I'm a 1/2 inch on that side. Now this is going to actually be slightly bigger. So I'm going to scale it in this direction here. And then I'm going to create a work area from here. This area, again, I'm going to move off by a 1/2 inch. So move that rectangle inward 0.5. and or 0.5. Let's try that again. And then down negative 0.5. And I want a 2-inch fillet. Let's go 3 inches. A 3-inch fillet on this corner. I'm going to offset this inward just a 1/4 of an inch. Keep those sharp corners. And I went outward. I said inward, but I want to go inward, not outward. And I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to end up trimming this main area to this box here. But first, before I do, I want to go into node editing. I'm going to grab these 2 nodes, use the left arrow key and bring them past here. And then I'm going to grab the top 2 nodes and use the up arrow and bring them past there, because I want to, when I trim, I want to trim to this line, right? So I want to be able to trim in there, get rid of that inside, in there. And that's going to be my area there. And I want no sharp corners. So I'm going to go back to the fillet tool. And for the fillet, I'll go with a 3/4 inch radius. Here, here, and here. And also, oops, there, 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 and there. Now, node editing, I'm going to grab all the way to the bottom of the arc here. And I'm going to use the up arrow, and I just want to kind of extend this up. Not much. And I need to, my arc here, I need to kind of fix it just a little bit more. Okay. All right. So now over here, rectangle. Going to select this one first. I like that 1/2 inch rim all the way around, so I'm going to move that up 0.5. Going to take this one, snap it to there, and move that up 0.5. Bring this down just a little bit. I want fillets on this as well, but not as big as the other. So we're going to go down to a 1/4 inch fillet. All right, now this area is going to be my graphic area up here. It's important that this is going to be the kind of the outline, the juice groove. And I got to remember now, I've got to fix this just a little bit, because remember that 3/16 bit here, when it cuts, that's going to be the outside edge of the juice groove. And I want to have a little bit more room and all. And so my offset was just not quite there, but that's okay. I'm going to take this and bring it down a little bit. I'm going to take this and bring it over a little bit. And that should be a good enough space, 1/8 inch to 1/4. Okay. The graphic, let me grab a graphic, import. And I'll do this guy right here. Something fun. Of course, probably not appropriate for a dinner tray or whatever, but you know, it could be I'm just showing you a graphic. I'll size, I don't need to size it right now, but I'm going to go into the bitmap trace tool. Turn the fading off. Let's see, on this particular graphic, I'll go 75. Default corner fit, no worries about the noise filter, and preview, apply and close. Delete the photo or turn off that layer, one of the two. And let's say that we'll go here, put some text in here. Well, we could put some kind of text there, but we'll just leave it be. That'll be my kind of my graphic area. Now, this outline doesn't get carved at all. It's just there to give me an area to stay within. So that line, that vector line, does not get used at all unless you're doing the raised version of this. But I want if I'm going to do the raised version, which I am, I want it to have a general shape of the object that I'm actually carving. I don't want it to have, you know, this generic shape that I created, my boundary, if you will. So on this, when I ungroup this object, I'm going to come in and select just that outside profile, and I'm going to offset just that outside profile outward, and we'll go 3/8 or 1/4. 1/4 inch is fine. 1/4 brings me right past what I don't want, so let's go 3/16. .15. There we go. I can handle that. That's okay right there. No big deal. So that would be my boundary line, except for right here, I don't want this. So node editing, I'm simply going to just pick a spot. I don't care where, just up here, cut and cut. Delete that. And then I'm going to join this with a smooth curve over here. Just kind of bring that in, you know, kind of keep it organic. Again, this line is not going to get used in the toolpath. So let's create the toolpath for this one. So I'm going to create an empty group right now. And for this group, I'm just going to call this group or tray 2. For this group, I'll call it tray 1. These items here, I'm going to throw in to this group so I can minimize them. And I'm going to make sure this group is bold when I make my toolpaths. So I'm going to select the vectors here, and I'm going to go into the V-carve toolpath. Now, if I carve this like this with this one single line, then it's going to create a negative effect instead of an island raised effect that I want. The dragon on its own without this border, if I just calculate the dragon for visualization purposes for you all, the look, we've got one open vector. We'll deal with that later, but for right now, we'll continue on, and then we'll go back to the vector validator in a moment. Reset the preview, and when I preview this visible toolpath, this particular carving the vector that is open is an important vector. You can tell by the poor result of the carving. Let's get zoomed in up close and personal here. Okay. So on this carving, everything that's up, I want down. Everything that's down, I want up. So it created that negative carving. And the reason being is because there is an open vector involved in my design, and I was warned about it, and it said, hey, it's going to ignore it, and I just continued on. But by ignoring the problem, it created the effect that I don't want. So we're going to go into here and right-click and select all the open vectors, and I'm not seeing it. So let me zoom into it. And so it wasn't the open vector that caused the problem, because that's just a little line. These two vectors can actually be deleted. Let's go in and select, or I'm sorry, go to the vector validator and see if the overlap was the one that caused my problem, or zero link spans or anything like that. We have 366 overlaps, 400 intersections, right? So if we zoom in or zoom out, that's all this noise and trash, right? So all of these spots, if we zoom in, it's all these little figure eights. My noise filter wasn't turned up enough. Okay, fine. So I'm going to come in and on that image, I'm going to retrace it. This time when I trace it, I'm going to turn up the noise filter. Wait for it. Turn the fading off. Slide this down. Slide this up. Like a little bit more detail in the neck. So I'm going to go 55 instead of 75. But on the noise filter, I'm going to crank that bad boy up to 6. Preview. Apply and close. Okay. Turn off the bitmap layer again. One more time, select the item. Size it down. Once again, let's do a vector validator real quick and make sure that, you know, any of our problem childs are not. So just a few minor ones. We have an overlap here. And we have a little bit of pixelation there. So let's ungroup this, select those three, delete that. And then on the overlap that where the two parts came together, I'm just going to drag that up there and that down a little bit. And that'll take care of that. All right. That should have cleared up my issues. It's always the issues that make things run longer. I want to get to, the last one is a very quick one, but I want to get to it as quickly as we can. So, these overlaps are insignificant. But might as well fix it. Okay. So if I select this as it is, and I do the V-carve toolpath on it, this is the carving. Oops, hold on. Stop. I need to start at 0. This is the carving that I want when it calculates. And I know it's the one I want this time. Reset, preview. Okay. Beautiful. A laser engraving of this would look really good as well too. Slightly pixelated because I'm using a low resolution preview for speed and time sake, but that's what I want. Now with my offset, we'll offset that vector again, 0.15. We'll get rid of everything. And here, again, I still don't want this crooked little thing here in the corner, so I'm still going to go into node editing mode. I'm still going to cut this vector. And I'm still going to close it with a smooth curve. Now, if I just calculate this toolpath, it's going to create a reversed image because I've added another line to the mix. I need to create a little island, since all this material around here is going to get milled away and everything. I need a little island for this carving to get carved on top of. So I have to actually create an additional line. And so here, this will be my island. And on this graphic here, I will just go outward 1/16 of an inch. And I'll bring this one inward 1/16, deleting the original. There we go. And so now this line is going to represent the island that dragon's going to get carved on. And then the other line is going to get kind of pocketed around to give it some kind of depth, the look of the depth and everything. So now when I select all three of these vectors and I go into that toolpath, I'm going to limit the cut. You can go as deep as you want, right? I'm just going to go 1/8 of an inch. We're going to calculate that toolpath. And got a little bit of an overlap right there on that vector. And if we preview this, the dragon is going to carve as it should, not a negative, but there's going to be a channel around it, kind of giving it, let me turn off this color and all, giving it some depth. And if you want that channel to be wider, make the space of this wider. So I'd like to see a little bit more distance. So I'm going to take this and offset it out an eighth, which is what that already is. So let's go 3/16. And let's simply recalculate the toolpath and then be done with that. Don't want to waste too much time on the graphic. Make it whatever you want. It could be a logo. Just make sure, you know, copyright and all that stuff. This image here, the dragon image, was I generated it through my account with AI. Said I wanted a black and white clip art style medieval dragon breathing fire. It wasn't breathing fire, but it made a fire bed. So that was that. The Photor, F-O-T-O-R. I have an account with Photor for AI generating. Allows you to create up to my plan 500 images a month. And you just type in what you want, be as descriptive as possible. Black and white, clip art style, blah, 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 blah. High definition. High detail. Okay. So I believe that went a little bit deeper. All right, now the juice groove is going to be next, and then our pockets, and then we'll kind of move on beyond this. I really like the carrying style trays and everything, but you know, whatever it may be, that'll be that. But let's put the juice groove and let's look at this as in its entirety. Profile toolpath, cutting 3/16 of an inch deep, 3/8 inch radius box core bit on the line. Preview. Oh, you son of a gun. I hate that I just hit that button. Supposed to hit preview visible toolpath and I hit reset. Okay. Let's stop that. When you're calculating a toolpath, make sure you don't check the wrong toolpath. So in here, this profile toolpath that I created needs to be up here because it was kind of showing everything. Okay. The pocket cuts, box core bit, not a box core bit, sorry, bowl and tray bit. I'm going to go a 1/2 inch deep, 0.5. Going to use a 7/16 inch, the white side 1376 bowl and tray bit for this particular one. 1370, sorry, the 1370 bowl and tray bit. Nope. Let's stop that right now. Okay. Man, put everybody to sleep. Wake up. All right, we're going to bring the guys on for a minute. I need to know what in the world a trace shaper trace frame is from JR. So hold on a second. Let's get the guys on here while this is, when this is done previewing. So that top area Can be anything. Could be your company logo. Could be a family event. It could be whatever you want it to be. You know, your family name or a family name. It could be a custom monogram. It could be really just whatever you want. Some classic styles of that to give you a visualization of something that's hotter than, give me just a second here. Bear with me just a moment. So here's some examples of those types of trays with, you know, some kind of real highly detailed customization off to the side or in the corner or what have you, right? You can really just dress them up. And very trendy, very popular. There are, if we were to look at just for this particular category, right? I mean, you can get crazy if Pinterest will load up. Okay, we'll just look at it like that. But you can really get crazy with the detail. I mean, that nice pocket area, you can have the profile of your board kind of take on the shape of the whatever the item is on the side. I like the firearm there, but you know, whatever you might want, there's all kinds of cool creativity. You can go there and really just like, I mean, they would sell. You know, they're just sharp. And when people see them, it's like, you know, at the markets, the farmers markets and things like that, they're great little money makers. And you can buy them as sets, right? Or sell them as sets, or they can do individuals. You know, you can have a bunch of individuals. Again, just, you know, be mindful of what you're, you know, putting on them and stuff like that. But you can really just have a good old time with it. Now let's bring the guys up on the screen. And let me get JR up here and everything. JR, tell me what a shaper trace frame is. What's that? Is that a certain program that does that? Was that you, JR, that wrote time to introduce the shaper trace frame?
Yeah.
In the comment section.
What that is it came out last year. I think sometime over the summer. It's from the guys who make the handheld router.
The shaper, yeah. Okay, so the shaper.
So the shaper origin.
Shaper origin. Okay.
Combination of it's a plastic frame with some software for basically you take a picture of any kind of item that you have.
Oh, I've seen that. That's yes. You can lay that over and it will kind of it's kind of it's like another item. It's, you know, it can be used with the Traper Chase, but that's its own individual standing little part, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Where it's a vector creating little tool.
Yes.
You can yeah.
For, you know, any kind of, you know, if any odd shaped thing for the non-talented among us.
Right. Yeah. You know? So, ladies and gentlemen, Google, I'm assuming it's called the Shaper Trace frame, something along those lines, or something. I'm sure something will come up. Shaper Trace. Let me see here. Hold on. Let me type in Shaper Trace. Okay. So, the Shaper, yep. Shaper Trace Vector at Rockler Woodcraft, it's $99.
Yep.
Right. And I'll pull up Rockler's site, but let me pull it over here. And it's this little frame. So interesting.
You sync it. You can sync it to your phone, and then you put that over a drawing or a picture or whatever, and you snap the picture of it, and then you can load it into your computer, and it creates all your vectors for you.
Right, and because it knows based on the frame and these little white dots and everything, it knows it knows its position, it knows the size, it can scale it for you and everything. This is actually a little ingenious little tool. It's super simple, but the technology behind it, the ability to talk with the phone app and also be able to read those dots. Those dots actually serve a purpose, and it can automatically scale within the app and everything based on that. Yeah, I saw the previews for this. I thought that was just slick as all be it. Never seen one in person, but yeah.
Yeah, I have one.
That's exactly what would be ideal for a situation like this and everything. Good call on that one, JR. Yeah.
Have you used yours?
$99, but hey, it's not, if it saves you some time, it's not bad.
Yeah, if you got it when they announced it, I mean, like I got mine for $66. So
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So they must have had some kind of special going on there.
yeah.
Cool. But that's awesome. So and the great thing about it is, and there's a little video and all that stuff, but the great thing about it is it's not, I mean, it can be used with any, it creates a vector file that can be imported into any of the software. It's not proprietary to the Shaper, tool. That's cool. And do you agree with that, JR? I'm correct on that fact, right? It creates a vector file that can be sent to the computer and brought into any software. Yeah, that's just.
And truthfully, you can use it for pretty much any size thing, just by how far away you put the frame from it. So if you had something that, the frame's only like 8.5 by 11 or so.
Right.
But if you lift it up higher,
right. Perspective. So if that frame was up higher, mounted or supported higher than the part, to where, just like perspective, things are either farther away or smaller, things are, closer or bigger, right? I get what you're saying. That's cool. So yeah, Rockler has it. I'm sure other sites and everything, Amazon and things like that. But that's a neat little tool for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's something you're going to use all the time, but for when you need it, you need it.
For something like this, if I'm doing things where I need like these utensils and stuff like that, man, that's a game changer. Then instead of trying to, I just freehand draw them. But yep. See, there's an app for everything, ladies and gentlemen. All right, listen, it is 9:48. I want to try to finish by 10 o'clock. So in the next 12 minutes and everything. So let's talk about just really quickly this next design. And it's going to be super fast. We'll use some of the vectors here so it can help us and everything. But the give me just a second here. Let me get back to my screen. Let me close everything down on my back side or my other screen. Okay. The next project is going to be just very quickly, same concepts and everything that we're doing, but this one, the two parts are going to fit together, right? So it is going to be a two-sided project because we're going to be flipping the project over, and we're going to go round, a round tray on this one, and so we're going to go 16 by 16 this time around.
You might want to blow yourself up.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. Yep. Very quickly. All right. 16 by 16. Now, this is two parts. The lower piece is going to have the utensils in them recessed. So there's going to be two sheets for this. One is going to be the top part, which is going to be the part that is the kind of where the tray, if you will. but underneath kind of snapped in, almost like a drawer, if you will, snapped in, and everything is going to be the utensil holder. And again, we can go with 3 or 4 utensils. In this case, I'm just going to go with the 3. But so the first sheet is going to be 3/4 of an inch thick. You could go 1/2 inch if you didn't want it to be too bulky or anything like that. I'm going to go 3/4. I am going to reference off the surface on each side, and I'm going to start in the bottom left corner, and I will be flipping along my y-axis. Okay. The second sheet, once this job gets set up, the second sheet is going to be the same size, but it's going to be 1 inch thick, as we found out from the project earlier, because it's going to house the utensils. And it could be 1, 1 1/4, right? But I'm going to go 1. Same setup here. All right, on sheet number 1, we are going to go full diameter for this. We're going to go 16 inches round. This will end up getting, cut out. We're going to come in and we're going to put some alignment pin holes. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. Going to throw one there, and I'm going to throw one just over here. And then that's going to be the outside profile coming in. I want to go inward, offset inward, and I want my 1/2 inch. I like my 1/2 inch, but then I want half of that 3/16, or I'm sorry, that 5/16 inch bit, right? So I'm going to come in at that point. Bear with me 1 second. 3125 divided by 2 equals 0.15625. I'm going to add to that my 1/2 inch. And that's how far I'm going to offset inward. So that way, when I cut my little juice groove, I'll still have a 1/2 inch clearance around that edge. All right, inside here, whatever you want. Laser engraving, text, blank, customize it however you want to, okay? So that is, we'll just create the tool paths for this profile tool path, 3/16 of an inch deep, 3/8 inch radius box core bit. Why did I offset in 3/16? Hold on a second. It's a 3/8 inch box core bit, not a 5/16. So bear with me 1 second. I don't know why that number was stuck in my head. Delete that. I'm going to offset inward my 1/2 inch plus my 3/16, which is half of 3/8. There's my offset. Okay. So we're going to calculate that. So that way, when that juice groove gets cut, when I cut out the profile cut, I'll still have kind of that 1/2 inch rim around. And if you want your rim wider and all, that's all, just offset in further. All right. So now that could actually be done in probably 1 or 2 passes, not 3 like I have it. Profile cut, going to be cutting all the way through in this instance. And this is going to kind of be, this is the second side. Really, we want to carve the back side first because there's going to be a couple of little magnet holes on the back side. So just bear with me on this. But this is going to cut all the way out. So I'm going to go the full 3/16. And that'll cut out. And I'm going to put tabs on there. Don't worry. I'm just kind of showing this without tabs for just a moment. And of course, that was the wrong bit, ladies and gentlemen. I'm getting too much of in a hurry. 3/16 with a 1/4 inch end mill. Let me slow down just a little bit. Not too slow. On the outside of the line, not on the line. Undo that last and preview that visible toolpath. So when it's all said and done, this is going to be the top tray. Now, again, you can have this tray 3/4 of an inch, or not, yeah, 3/4 of an inch thick. You can have the tray am I on sheet 2? Am I on sheet 2? I am on sheet 2. Oh, let me fix sheet 2 really quickly. We'll make this sheet 2 so I don't have to, do anything different. And then sheet 1 will be the 1 inch thick part. Edit. We'll make that the 1 inch since I'm already here. Okay. So 3/4 inch thick piece is what we're carving on this time. And make sure I'm still on sheet 2. Make sure that's the active sheet here where my tool paths are. That profile cut and everything. Cutting that up. All right. Now, my magnets they are 0.3 or 3 millimeters wide, 6 millimeters deep. So 1/8 inch thick, should I say, 1/4 inch diameter, little guys. But they're strong enough to just, keep this tray in place because there's going to be a groove around the back side of this that that bottom tray will fit into. And so here, so this tray, let me get to it here. On the back side, we're going to be milling away this back side, and there's going to be a groove, kind of a half moon groove in there. So this will be a little slightly shallow that my bottom tray is going to kind of lock into. So we're going to also have kind of a little bit of a round over and stuff. So it's a little bit smoother and all. So on the on this profile cutting all the way out, we want to do that second. We want to do the back side first and cut our groove and everything. So just know that even though I'm on the top side here, this is going to be cut second. So if that's going to be cut second, that means that these holes right here are going to be my waste board alignment holes. These are going to be the holes that get cut into the waste board. So they're going to be my drilling tool path cutting 1/4 of an inch deep. And these are going to be my waste board holes. And I always do that. I always put them backwards. I don't know why, but waste board, as long as I know what they are, but I need you to know what they are. Alignment holes. And 0.25 EM. Now, those will get cut 1/4 inch deep into my waste board. Now, on the profile tool path, those are going to be first. On that profile toolpath cutting out, I need some tabs on this because there's nothing holding these, right? And the thing about this is the tabs get created on the bottom side, from the bottom up of the cut if I'm cutting all the way through on one side. And on the other side, like I said, I wanted a round over. So that means the kind of the corner of that is going to get rounded over. So I need to make sure that my tabs are, slightly thicker than normal so that when that round over comes, it doesn't cut them away too much. So I'm going to make my tabs 3/16 of an inch thick instead of the 1/8 of an inch that I normally do. And because each corner is going to get cut away, you can also make your tray slightly smaller, but I want to go the full thing. So I'm going to put 2 tabs on each corner. And then we're going to calculate that toolpath. So that'll hold that part in there. Now on the other side, let's take this vector, and this outside profile vector and copy it to the other side. So that way, when we flip this over, we'll have those vectors there. Now, these two vectors are going to be my project board alignment holes. They actually get milled into the project board, and they're going to be 3/8 of an inch deep. I use 1/2 inch pins. And if I go 3/8 of an inch in on my project board and 1/4 of an inch in on my waste board, that gives me about 1/8 of an inch of play so I don't bottom out and everything. So they'll get, and this is my, I'll call it side 1 project or alignment holes. Now, on the on this particular tray, I need to create a pocket, kind of a slot, if you will, that my other part can fit into. And for that, I'm going to offset this inward and to create another vector. And on that offset, I'm going to offset inward probably a good 3/4, 0.75. Okay, because if I 0.75, yeah, that should be good. Now, I'm only cutting on this groove here and everything. I'm only cutting a half moon. So the node editing, I'm going to cut the vector here and cut it here. And then I'm going to delete this bottom half. On this vector, I am actually going to be using a slot cutting bit, not a keyhole bit. A keyhole bit's not going to be wide enough. Let's take and come over here. And, slot cutting bits, no bearing. We don't want a bearing on there, right? But the slot cutting bit, I'll just come up here to this Amana one. Doesn't need to be very big. 21-30 seconds. Bear with me. 1/4 inch. Probably go a little bit deeper than a 1/4 inch. We'll look at the first one. But anyway, a slot cutting bit, that slot cutting bit will be able to cut like an undercut, right? That slot all the way around. So I want to create kind of a T-track, not a T-track, but a slot all the way around. You'll see. So similar to kind of this picture with a little undercut in there. Now, if my bit is only 1/4 of an inch and I need to go depth, I can go 2 passes to make it deeper. If my bit is, thicker, they come in all kinds of different depths, but they also come in all kinds of different prices as well too, right? So just make your the Magnate 6098 has a cutting height. Let me go to it. 69. It has a cutting height of 21-30 seconds. So that is not true. That is not true. It's accounting the neck in that cutting height. So that's probably 1/4 of an inch. on that as well too. And that's fine. So we will assume that we're using a 1/4 inch slot cutting bit in this example. But I don't want my lip on the second part that slides into this groove. I don't want a 1/4 inch lip. I'd like to have a little bit of meat because I'd like it to be rigid, right? I'd like it not to fall apart, right? Or not to break easy, or something like that. Even though there's not going to be a lot of weight in there. So for this, I am going to do if I have a bit, let me see what that, just as an example, let me see what that magnet diameter was. The large diameter was 1 in 19/32, right? So if I had 19/32 plus 1, so if I had a bit here and my inner diameter is 3/8, right? The smaller diameter of the neck. So if I create a 3/8 inch 0.375 and I snap it to the center of that bit and everything, that would kind of represent my cutter, right? And so how far of an offset depends on how deep of a groove I want, that undercut I want underneath. When we create a tool path, a profile tool path, depending on which is our starting point, which end of the line, we're either cutting on the inside of that line or the outside of that line. Now, if I'm cutting on the inside of the line, take it easy, Ronnie. If I'm cutting on the inside of that line, that means that my start point is on the left side here. Think of me as a human being here standing at the end of this line, looking at the end of the line. So that star is me and I'm looking at the line. This is the left side, inside left. This is the outside right, left to right. If that starting point was over here, so if I go into node editing mode and I made this the starting point, make starting point. Now, on this cut, if I was going in this direction, I want to be on the outside right of the cut. But if I was going in this direction, I need to be on the inside left. So again, if this little star is me, and I'm standing there looking at that line, this is my inside left, this is my inside right. So that start point, this is the right side, outside right, sorry, this is the inside left. And so if I was going in this direction, then I would choose inside left. But I'm cutting in this direction, so it's going to be outside right. Okay? So just remember, your cutting directions. Otherwise, it'll cut on the wrong side of your line and be a bad day. All right, let's go into node editing and make that my start point again. Now, when it's cutting, when I'm on the outside right of the line, it's got the right side of the bit on the outside of the line. I need this bit to step over, depending on how deep I want that little undercut. And I'd like to have that little undercut, I'd like to have it a good at least 3/8, right? So I need to make sure that I offset my cut, that offset, allowance offset over here in the toolpath, negative, going over the line, negative 3/8. Anytime you're going over the line, it's a negative number. When you're going away from the line, it's a positive number. I don't care what side of the line you're on. If you're going away from the line, it's a positive number. If you're going over the line, it's a negative number. Even if you're cutting on this side of the line, if you're going away, it's a positive number. If you're going over, it's a negative. Always a negative when you're going over the line. So I need my allowance offset to be a negative 0.375. So that way, when I calculate this tool path, and I need to select the right bit, of course, Now this bit is going to be it's an end mill bit. Okay. The Vectric software will not show in the 3D view an undercut. So you're not going to really be able to preview the undercut of the toolpath, that specialty cut. It won't really show you that. So the end mill, I need to make sure that when I add a new tool, and I'll add a new tool in my end mill category, I need to make sure if my diameter is that diameter of that cutter, which is 1.5938. 1.5938, odd size, but hey, it is what it is. If I'm adding an end mill, 1.5938, so for flute, the pass depth, I definitely want to go at least 1/8 of an inch. We're going to be doing deeper, so that's going to be important. We'll talk about that in just a second. The bit is 1/8 inch pass depth is fine. The step over 33.3% of the bit. It's a large bit, so I'm going to go 15,000 RPMs, and we'll go 50 inches a minute, and 20 for the plunge is fine. Now, for this tool doesn't get used first. This tool is flat. If we looked at the design in the online again, this tool is flat, and then it has these cutters on. There's 4 cutters all the way around, right? Four flutes. Now, the center, there's nothing there at the bottom. This is not a plungeable bit. It would have to be ramped in and not plunge if there was meat there, because it just can't remove that center point. It would be like cutting a core. It cuts the perimeter, leaving the core raised still, and the bit would just kind of just be burning on it and everything. So I need to remove the material. I need to remove this material based on, how my slot is going to be. And so my offset that I did here, and I'll put it back, that offset, this vector right here is going to be a pocket cut. We're going to remove this material with 1/4 inch end mill, a 1/2 inch end mill, whatever you want, just not that big bit, right? So I am going to, on my cut, my lip that's going to be left remaining and everything is going to be 3/8 of an inch wide, right? And I don't want 1/4 of an inch. I would like to probably have about 1/4 of an inch of meat. And then above that, the actual wood, I'm going to remove 1/4 of an inch of meat. But above that, I want a good amount of meat there too. So I want to either, probably 1/4 of an inch. So what I got to be mindful of is on this pocket, I'm going to be taking away, and I'm not going to go a full quarter. I'm going to go 3/16. So 0.25 plus 1/4 of an inch equals, I just said that wrong. 0.25 plus 3/16 equals 0.4375. That's going to be my pocket cut, my initial pocket cut. Let's go ahead and I'm in a profile toolpath, which I'm an idiot. Let's do a pocket cut here. And let's do that one more time. 0.4375. 1/4 inch end mill. And if you want to use a larger bit, that is fine. Whatever you want to do. And man, this is running so late. Hold on a second, guys and girls. Bear with me. We're almost done here. We're going to calculate that. And that is going to remove that material, okay, from the bottom side of this tray. Okay. Now, this particular tray is 3/4 of an inch thick. Okay. You also have to remember that we're doing a 3/16" juice groove around that outer edge on the other side, right? So we want to make sure that all of these things that occur don't meet in the middle. Do you know what I mean? So on this, let me stop this. Let me turn this resolution down slow because we gotta move along faster than what we're doing here. We're going to preview this visible toolpath. See if we can zip that along just a little bit quicker. And it's not much quicker than what it was, but we're going to remove all that material. Now this is going to be the top part of the tray. Once this material gets removed, we're going to make a little 1/4-inch deep pocket hole for our magnets. When our bottom tray kind of snaps in and everything, it's going to snap into, you know, a magnet. And it's I'm going to put three magnets in. And I'll draw those vectors in just a second. This will all make sense as soon as we cut this slot. I wish Vectric would show the slot, you know. But when we cut the other side, the sheet number 2, we make the actual lip, it'll make sense to you. Okay. One last pass. Sorry. I don't know why it's not faster. I got it set to the minimum. I don't know what my resolution is set at, but Lord. Late night, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, stick with me. Hang with me if you're hanging with me. We're going to be wrapping up here in just a moment. Now, the pocket and everything, remember now, our part is getting cut out all the way around here. So we have to remove this bottom part of the material as well too in that pocket. And I should have kind of done that. But basically, all of this area, let me do this really quickly. We're going to offset outward 1/16 of an inch. I'm going to draw a line straight across to there. I'm going to draw a line straight across out to there. And then I'm going to trim away with the scissors this inside. Well, not that one. This inside one. And with my scissors, I'm going to trim away this top part. And that pocket cut that I just created, I'm going to do it in one pass just for preview purposes only. One pass for faster purpose only. This vector hold on a second. Give me just a moment. That star screwed me up. There we go. All right, this vector right here. Well, we'll get it. We'll get it. We'll get it. So when I'm trying to find an open vector and figure out why it's not closing, I need to go into node editing mode, and I need to look for the green node. The green node is going to be, kind of where my lines start and stop. So I have more than one green node here, and that tells me that, when I select this vector here is closed. Okay. That vector right here is open. This one and that one, I should be able to join those two together. But right now the software is kind of making me look like a dumbass for a moment. Let me select these two. I'm going to pull them off the board for just a second. I want to see what's going on. There are two vectors here. There's duplicates. So I'm going to right click and select all duplicates. It says there's no duplicates. So then there is an overlap. Oh, when my scissors trimmed, it created its own closed vector. So it created a duplicate vector on that part. So the that's why it closed itself. I was sitting there going nuts, but there's a reason for everything, and we just have to always, figure out what that reason is. So let's center that back onto the board. And I'm going to move it down 3/4 of an inch. When you get in a hurry, stupid shit happens. Okay. All right. That pocket cut that I was carving, it should have removed all of that material and everything, and only left that half crescent moon at the top, so that when this part gets cut out, all of this material is gone. Okay. Now in here, the toolpath, this moon vector right here, I'm going to just create that single vector again that closed itself, 0.75. I'm going to go into node editing mode and cut it on both sides. Now I have a vector that's on top of the other ones. That's the half moon. And that is going to be a profile cut on the inside left. I'm sorry, the outside right of the line. My vector's on the, my starting point is on the left, so I need to be on the outside right of the line. And I need to come in negative 0.375. That's how much I'm going under. Calculate. Now, the bit that I'm using is that slot cutting bit, but again, Vectric won't show the undercut, so I can't really demonstrate that and everything. But there's going to be an undercut groove, like a keyhole, all the way around this edge. Okay. This is the side that's going to get cut first. So we'll have our alignment holes gets milled in the board. We have a pocket cut. Oh, you son of a gun. Stop. We alignment holes get milled into the board. We have our pocket cut that's going to remove all this material, and it still leaves the corner so that when we flip the board, it still has foundation for it to sit on. So no problem there and everything. The only problem is when we're cutting out the part, right? When it cuts out, by the time it gets, when it's cutting out here, there's not going to be anything kind of supporting that back side. There's no tabs or anything that I can put there because that material is gone. Okay. So the other side will have our cuts and grooves. And when this cuts out, we should be able to look at this whole thing. Yeah, see you, John. Y'all have a great night. I know it's a late one. See y'all later. If y'all have to run, I'll finish this off. The recording will be there for you to view, but I put my foot in it. On this one. This is the one I should have started with and should have finished with, and it should have been only an hour-long class, not 3 hours. But I wanted to just show the other examples and everything. Okay, so on the cut, the part here, the only thing that needs to be put in on the other side of the magnets on this back side. And that'll be that. Okay. The tabs, I can't really show the undercut, but there's going to be an undercut here. Ignore this part that got removed right there. It's that was just because the vector can't show the undercut. But on the bottom side, right across the bottom here, on that back side, I want 3 magnet holes. So I'm going to come in and on this vector, I'm going to offset inward my 3/8, but I'm going to go just 1 inch in. Well, if I go 3/4, that's my profile. That's the outside cutout. Outside cutout, that's where that pocket gets cut away. So 1 inch in will be just fine, like I had. So let's go 1 inch. And then I'm going to draw a 1/8 inch, or sorry, a 1/4 inch diameter circle. Now, on this, these 3 holes here, I want them to be pretty much, in line with one another, right? So I'm going to have one here. With that selected, I'm going to select this other one here, and I'm going to hit the alignment tool and align up and down. Well, let's try that again. And I just want to make sure that I'm centered on that line. Man, nothing's working right now. And then at the bottom, I'm just going to be centered there. So those 3 little pocket holes, those 1/4 inch holes there, they are going to be a drilling tool path cutting a 1/8 inch deep. but I'm going to go just slightly 0.127 because my magnets are 3 millimeters, and the that is 0.118. So 0.125 is going to just put me right under the surface, and that should be fine. I should still be able to get magnetic attraction. So we're going to go 1/8 of an inch deep. Now, on that side there, I'm already milled down. This material is already milled down 4 3/8. So I got to start there. So on that drilling tool path, my start depth needs to be 7/16, 0.4375, not 4 3/8, 0.4375. So that when it calculates, come on now, stand by. 0.4375. My computer is not working. 0.4375. This is, I have just learned my lesson today. This is not conducive or good for any of us for learning to be going so long and tired. So from now on, our classes are not going to be any more than an hour and a half long, regardless. So we'll have to break it up into multiple parts and things like that. It's not conducive for learning when you're, when you're making so many mistakes like this. So I'm going to preview that cut. Those 3 little magnet holes are going to be in there. So when this part slides in, it's going to have matching magnet holes on the other part for them to snap in. That being said, let's go here. And on this other sheet, we're going to be taking a vector, and we're going to, this is going to be a 1 inch thick piece of material. We're going to offset that inward, our 3/4, to represent our lip. That's going to be kind of, going in here, but that's not our lip. Our part, when everything is all, this cut on this side, this first side is only going in, the offset is 3/8, but it's only, or 3/4, but it's only going in 3/8. So if my part is a 16-inch part, it's not going to fit in, right? It's got to be this size, but 3/8 of an inch slightly larger. So we'll get rid of that circle, offset this one outward 3/8 of an inch. And that's going to represent that part that slides into here. Okay. Now, up here, the bottom side, when it's all snapped together and everything, it's going to be flush. It's going to be one continuous, it'll look like a little bowl, like a small little bowl, if you will. So here on that, oops. On that 16-inch diameter part, let me center it. Just like the shape over here, we're going to create that same shape here. So we're going to draw a line, find our center, and straight across. And our bowl, or our part, is going to have this shape here. Okay. The inside from here, we're gonna have it kind of slightly rounded. Now, you can use a dome or a dish for this, or you can simply just have it kind of squared with a round over on the back side. Either way, but let's create the toolpath so you can see what's going to happen here. The profile cutout is going to cut all the way through the material. And it's going to be cutting on the outside of the line, and it's going to be using a 1/4 inch end mill. Yeah, this is my bad, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to wrap this up. Now, this lip right here, this area right here, we're going to remove the material here down to we're going to have the slip's going to be a 1/4 inch. So we're removing 3/4 inch of material from this back side up here. So the tool path pretty much can just be I'm going to do some drawing and trimming. So I'm going to draw this out. I want this to go past the edge of that. That's fine. So take our scissors, trim that away. Let me pull these two things off of each other for a minute. I need this and this. So I'm going to move these over for just a moment, this part and this part, so we can see them. And I want to join them as one vector. And right now, again, we're dealing with that closed vector on this side because of the trimming and the scissors. That's why it says 1 and 1. So in node editing, find that green node, cut the vector right there. And I got to pull this one, here, and I'm going to delete this span and then just delete this trash. Oop. Now this shape should be one vector. Okay, let's put it back where it belongs. Now, when the router bit cuts, it's going to kind of create a little bit of a radius and everything here. And the thing that you're going to have to do a little bit of chisel work or something to kind of clean that up, but it's not going to be too bad. Over here, I'm moving out beyond the piece of wood a little bit. And on my pocket toolpath, when I calculate this toolpath, it's going to be a pocket toolpath removing 3/4 inch of material with a 1/4 inch end mill. And what we end up with is we end up with a part that looks like this. Now, this is the bottom side. So we end up with a part that looks like this. And this is the part that's going to slide into that notch underneath the tray that's on the back side of the tray. Now, in here, if we go to side, if we take these vectors and copy them over to the other side, on side one, this is where we would create the indentation and the pocket and everything for our utensils. Now I'm going to stop right here. We're going to continue this, and you guys can do it right now in the chat. You can choose. We either continue this tomorrow night or we do it next Wednesday. Your choice. Next Wednesday, the 24th, or tomorrow night at 7:15. You let me know in the chat. We'll go from there. But because we still have to make the utensil tray areas and everything, and that's going to take some time. We've got the vectors, but let me give you a visualization of what we are, what we're going for, if you will. Let me pull it up on the screen. All right. So in that bottom side here, there is going to be the tray that is going to be the top piece. On the back side of this, which you can't see, there's going to be the groove to where the lip of the bottom piece slides into. So it creates one platter. It's together, and it's magnetic shut, to keep it, the two pieces together. When you slide that out, that tray out, that bottom tray out, it is going to have our pocket in here with our whatever, our utensils, whatever they may be. In our case, we're going to be using our 3 utensils. In the picture here, they used a wine opener, the knife, and the fork, right? Kind of thing. But whatever customization. Now, on these two parts, I have no idea in this picture how these two parts go together. If there's anything like what we're creating on the other side for this, if it just one sits on top of the other, I'm assuming that's how they put together, right? There's no detail saying that this is what you do or anything. So I'm creating this. I'm taking this idea. I love this idea that, everything is, my top part is my tray that I can customize with logos, whatever, but I can pull out this little tray from underneath and it'll have my utensils in there, right? That I can use and everything. But the two parts can be snapped together and magnetically snapped together, but there's also a lip there that holds them together that it slides into, just, as that extra reinforcement. And that is what I'm adding to this. There's no lip here on this board that I can see, but I can't see the bottom side, right? I'm just taking a concept that I like, thinking about how I would put it together to make it to where it's, like a nice snap together set or whatever. And then that's what we're designing, right? So we still have to do this kind of inside pocket area. And we've already got the vectors pretty much for the 3 utensils. We would just have to create the little offset vector, to create the pocket. And we can wrap this up tomorrow night, Thursday. JR says tomorrow. That's, tomorrow's okay with me. So why don't we do that? Why don't we reconvene tomorrow at 7:30? I'll have everything cleaned up. We can organize that. It'll only be a half hour, 45 minutes at the most. I'll have everything kind of ready to lay out. And we'll reconvene on that because we're at 3 hours and 14 minutes, and that's just not conducive for good learning and everything, even though kids stay in school for 8 hours, but it's late at night. We've worked our hard day and all that stuff. And in the future, I'm going to, I think I've made a decision tonight mentally that we're going to cut off at 1.5 hours on classes. So with that, I'm going to hit File, Save As, and I'm going to just call this Tray 2 for right now. And then we'll come back. I'll have everything cleaned up, nice and organized, and all these files will be available for you to download. And where you can make it along with the links for the utensils and all of that stuff as well. So File, Save As, we'll call this Tray 2. Tray 2. All right. Tray 2. Okay, so what we have is we have 3 different design concepts. Our flat tray has utensils milled on the top side and everything. We have our flat tray that we can customize, with some kind of logo or decal, and that could be anywhere on the tray. And again, you saw those samples where they actually had the profile of the tray cut out to match the side of that graphic, or whatever it was. Beautiful stuff, right? So be creative with that. These files will be available to you. And then tomorrow night, 7:30, we'll reconvene and we'll wrap up this project. And when it's all said and done and everything, it'll make a whole lot more sense, and I'll have everything nice and organized, and we'll just kind of recap, and then we'll finish it off. All right, everybody. I want to thank you very much for your time tonight. I appreciate you all. And until next time, I'm going to say goodbye. Good night, JR. Thanks for hanging out with me. Let me pop you back up real quick. I appreciate you. Ronnie and John had to run off. A lot of other people had to run off. That's because we just went too long. So y'all have a good night. We'll finish this up tomorrow at 7:30. The link will be available on the community chats and everything, as well as the group. So you'll see those, and we'll clean it up. All right, everyone. See ya.